Welcome back to another explainer. So, you're trying to sound a bit more professional in English, right? Whether you're learning the language or you're a native speaker, you've probably bumped into three little words that just cause massive amounts of confusion: could, would, and should. People hear them everywhere, in the office, on the street, in movies, but constantly second guess which one to actually use. Well, I have a secret for you right up front, drawn straight from our source material today. You do not have a grammar problem. You have a politeness problem. Today, we are throwing out the boring grammar rule books. We're going to look at how these three words aren't just vocabulary, they're literally the key to unlocking respect and totally changing your personality in spoken English.
To get us there without any learning anxiety, we've got a super clear roadmap today. First, we'll look at grammar versus politeness. Then, we'll hit our three key words: could for polite requests, would for desires and offers, and should for friendly advice. And finally, we wrap it up by testing your skills in the English Air Lab.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Grammar versus Politeness. Putting on the business suit. The big idea here from our source today is that these three very small words have the power to completely change how people perceive you. Think about it visually. Speaking normal, basic English, it's perfectly fine. But it's kind of like wearing a casual t-shirt. You're comfortable, maybe you're just grabbing groceries, but you probably aren't going to command a room in a professional setting. But the second you add could, would, and should to your sentences, you are instantly putting on a crisp, clean, highly professional business suit. You sound powerful, natural, and confident. People actually sit up a little straighter when they hear it.
Moving into Section 2, could, the polite request. Powerful but polite.
To see how this builds our professional wardrobe, I want you to picture this. You're walking through a big, busy corporate office, glass windows everywhere, people rushing around, and your hands are absolutely full of incredibly heavy boxes. Your arms are aching, you're trying not to drop anything, and you walk up to a closed door where a coworker is standing. What do you say to get them to help you out without sounding demanding?
Look at the contrast here. Normal English gives us, "Can you open the door?" Is it wrong? No. But the word "can" really just asks about physical ability. It's essentially asking, "Hey, do your arms work?" Now try saying the other phrase out loud to yourself. Could you open the door? Notice how it instantly feels softer? It's gentler and infinitely more respectful. That is the absolute magic of could. You aren't questioning their physical capability. You are gently inviting their assistance.
So the takeaway is that could transforms a basic question into a polite request. It makes you sound powerful but deeply respectful, which is exactly what you need in high-pressure business situations. Imagine you're in a high-stakes meeting with a big client. If you say, "Can you read this file?" it sounds a bit like a command from a frustrated boss. But swap it out. "Could you read this file, please?" Boom! You instantly sound like a top-tier manager. You respect their time, you respect their autonomy, but you're still confidently running the meeting.
Which brings us to Section 3, Would, Desires, and Offers. Upgrading raw emotion.
Let's look at our second magic word, would. This one is all about turning your basic desires into absolute gold. Close your eyes for a second. You're sitting in a beautiful, quiet cafe. You can smell freshly roasted coffee, soft jazz is playing. The waiter approaches your table. How do you ask for your drink without totally ruining that elegant vibe? Let's compare our two options. First, I want coffee. Sure, it's direct, but honestly, it's raw emotion. Our source notes it actually sounds a bit like a crying child aggressively demanding candy from their parents. You definitely don't want to sound like a toddler in a sophisticated cafe. Now check out the upgrade. I would like a coffee. Listen to the music in that sentence. It completely changes the mood. It's elegant, it's professional, and I guarantee that waiter is going to smile and give you much better service.
So here's the formal definition. Would upgrades a raw demand into a polite desire. But it doesn't stop there. It is also total magic when you're offering something to someone else. Let's reverse our earlier office scenario. This time, you're by the door and a coworker is struggling with those heavy boxes. A casual "do you want help" is fine, but if you want to wear that linguistic business suit, you swap it for "would you like some help?" It's incredibly warm, undeniably polite, and makes the other person feel genuinely cared for rather than judged.
All right, Section 4, should. The friendly advice. A warm hug for the stressed brain.
This source material actually describes this word as a warm hug for the stressed brain, which is just a great way to think about it. Imagine a close work friend sitting at their desk, super stressed, almost in tears over a massive project problem. They are totally overwhelmed. If you look at them and say, "Talk to your manager," how does that feel? It feels like an order. It feels like you're shouting at someone who is already panicked. They do not need another command. But what if you say, "You should talk to your manager"? Suddenly, the pressure vanishes. It feels like you actually care about their well-being. It feels exactly like that warm hug.
The key here is that should is never an order. It's friendly advice. You're giving someone a solid idea, but you are making it crystal clear that it's totally their choice to take it or leave it. Zero pressure. It's the absolute safest way to guide someone. If your team is stuck and can't agree on a direction, telling the boss, "You should make a decision," sounds incredibly helpful and highly professional instead of sounding pushy or insubordinate.
Time for Section 5, the English Error Lab. Fixing bad English. Okay, you've got the knowledge. Now let's put it to work. I'm going to throw some blunt, borderline rude sentences your way, and I want you to mentally fix them. First up, "You must help me right now." Yikes. That is terrible. It's demanding, aggressive, and people will probably just run away from you. How do we fix it? We deploy a polite request. "Could you help me, please?" Boom. The situation is immediately de-escalated. You sound in control, and people will actually want to step in and help.
Let's try number 2. Imagine looking at your boss and saying, "I want a meeting with you today." Yeah, as our source points out, that sounds less like a request and more like you're trying to fire your own boss. You're making a raw demand of someone who outranks you. Let's soften that into professional gold. The fix is simple. "I would like a meeting with you today." Your ears just feel better hearing it, don't they? It keeps things professional while still being crystal clear about what you need. And for our final lab experiment, check out this devastating sentence. Your project is bad. Ouch. If a coworker said that to you, you might actually cry, or at least get super defensive. It's just a direct insult. But this brilliantly illustrates the true superpower of these words. We can transform that harsh insult into polite, constructive advice using should. Look at the fix. "You should check your project again." You're conveying the exact same information. There are errors that need fixing, but you're doing it as a friendly ally, not a harsh judge.
Let's lock this in your brain forever with a really quick mental summary. Remember, fluency is about feelings, not boring textbook formulas. Could is your polite request. It shows respect for someone's time. Would is your polite desire or offer, upgrading raw emotion into smooth elegance. And should is your friendly advice, offering that warm hug of guidance without ever barking orders.
Which brings us to the golden rule of today's explainer. Speak English, but speak it nicely. When you prioritize politeness over basic grammar mechanics, it actually changes how the entire world treats you. Because when you communicate with respect, people genuinely want to help you in return. It opens doors that blunt demands just slam shut. You truly get exactly what you give.
So that leaves us with a final question to ponder as you jump back into your day. How will your words change your reality today? You've got the business suit hanging in your mental closet right now. The next time you need help, want a coffee, or see a stressed out coworker, are you going to wear the casual t-shirt or are you going to put on the suit? I highly encourage you to test out could, would, and should in your very next conversation and just watch the magic happen. Thanks for joining me for this explainer and keep learning.